I'm Stevi.
I'm Tonya. Welcome to Lesbians Eat Out,
your go-to channel
for all your eating out reviews.
So today we are reviewing a restaurant in East Lansing, as you'll recall from our first episode. East Lansing, not to be confused with Lansing,
No, it's
City.
not.
It is a college town, and we ate at Beggar's Banquet.
Okay, Beggar's Banquet. Okay, so as you know, I kind of go over the service atmosphere side. Stevie goes over the menu and food ingredients and cost side. So let's talk about service. Here's the thing. Beggar's Banquet is probably one of very few restaurants that offers brunch
In that area,
in the area on Sundays.
Sadly.
So one of the things, her big pet peeve, is call ahead seating. In some regards, I can understand why. Beggar's does not offer call ahead seating. You just show up, either they have a table or you put your name on a waiting list. I get it, especially for this area, not having a lot of brunch options. Fine.
While I got in line.
Fantastic woman that she is.
And by get in line, I mean I gave them my name and then they text me and let me know when we were going to be seated.
Yeah, so the hostess said about 15 minutes. Ultimately ended up being about a 30-minute wait.
Yeah, almost a 30-minute wait.
The hostess, while we are back in the Midwest and people are overly friendly here, she was really sweet. She was super nice. However, because it was such a busy day, there wasn't a lot of extra time for her to go in
Chit-chat.
a little above and beyond and have the extra chit-chat. So not a big deal there. The space and atmosphere itself, it's actually kind of interesting because there are two ways you can enter into the restaurant. You could go through the back entrance,
Come up the back hallway, past the bathroom,
past the kitchen,
wind your way through the entire restaurant basically
to get to the hostess.
Stand,
The hostess. Yeah. Or you can go in through the front, which is off of Abbott Road and Grand River, and you'll be right there at the hostess to give her your name. So one of the things that's really interesting about Beggar's Banquet is the fact that when you walk in through the front entrance, it's actually like a bar. There is a bar there. They have a little extra dining tables, but it does have that bar feel in the front. But then if you walk through one entryway, it really does have more of a restaurant feel on the other side, which is pretty cool. The bar area, the decor is completely different compared to the other side. So the atmosphere when you walk into Beggar's Banquet is different depending on which side you go into. One side is a bar area. They have some booth seating there. There's more tile on the floor because it's a bar area. There is a very big open central area when you walk in, and that is ultimately a dance floor in evening hours. Then you go through a doorway and you get more to actual seating and
more of the restaurant
side. It's a little bit lighter there. There's more windows and things of that sort. But either way, when you walk in, it's not a place that I would expect really amazing food at, to be honest. I would expect regular freaking bar food, and let me tell you, the food is great, but we'll get to that later. Service. Well, before we get to service, I'm going to circle back to the atmosphere. Music. The music was a touch too loud. In addition to all the conversations, because it was a packed restaurant and your dishware sounds of plates and silverware and whatnot, the music was a little bit too loud for me.
In general, you know, the way that the rooms are set up, they're very large, open rooms with not a lot of sound dampening architecture built in. And because it's mostly tables and chairs, the furniture also doesn't do much to dampen any sound moving through the space. So
that's true. That's true. I also would say though, they could stand to bring the music down a little bit.
So, well, yes. Yeah. I just mean overall, it's unnecessary to have the music that loud when everything else is already that loud.
That's true. There were moments in time with conversation. We went out with her sister and her sister's boyfriend, Chris Lee. And so
That's their couple name.
That's their couple name, Chrisley. There were moments in time where he and I were talking, and we actually had to lean in to hear each other talking because it was a little
across from each other.
Yeah, it was a little too loud.
You know, and it's funny because my sister and I were talking again directly across the table from each other, and I didn't hear like any of you and Christian's conversation,
which is also that's very interesting.
So even though we were sitting right next to each other when I was talking to the person across from me, I didn't hear her conversation at all. So you know, again, that loudness and definitely lucky for me, my sister's voice projects pretty well, so it's not hard to hear her. But if you have soft spoken friends, probably not the best place for a good visit.
Very true. On a positive note, though, with it being kind of more in a college town and more of a bar style restaurant, there were no TVs in there, but at the bar, I think there was one TV at the bar.
I didn't even see a TV.
Yeah, so awesome. Kudos on that.
Appreciate it.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, service.
Yeah.
Okay, so
can I just pause here and say that like one thing that I always keep in mind, because this isn't the first time we've been to Beggar's, but one thing I always keep in mind when I go there, and I'm also reminded of every time I go there, is that all of the staff basically just hungover college kids.
Fair. I was going to also say that it was a super, super busy day, so
it always is for brunch,
but it always is for brunch. But good point. Hungover college children.
College children.
How I feel now. It's like you look like you're 12. What's happening to my life?
We were, you know, young, fresh-faced, collegey.
What are you talking
people
about?
Back in the
fresh-faced.
True, but you don't sound like it when you say these things.
Fair. Fair. So when it comes to the service, there are so many things that I'm just trying to decide. Do I want to talk about the service now, or do I want to talk about the service after you talk about some of the food? I feel like it all flows together.
It does flow together.
Yeah.
You want to go back and forth?
Let's go back and forth.
We're going to intermix service and food this time.
So to start us, she was about 5 minutes after we sat down before she asked what kind of drinks we wanted. But on the plus side, she did bring water with her. And also, I don't remember her name.
Yeah, I will say she did, while she did not verbally check in with us very often while we were waiting for the rest of our party to arrive, I did see her eyeballing our table fairly often to see if the rest of our party arrived.
So kudos on that.
Yeah, definitely. So taking a break from service for a second, menu selection. They actually have a really great brunch selection. They have like 5 different kinds of eggs Benedict. They have omelets. They have, they kind of do an interesting thing with their like pancakes, griddle cakes, and French toast, where they offer like 4 varieties, and then you choose what carb base you want. If you want pancakes or French toast, like it's not a pancake menu and a French toast menu, which I think is a really way to keep it looking short while actually still offering a lot of options. They also had a lot of breakfast sandwiches, breakfast burritos, breakfast bowls, and then they have a whole lunch section too. So that's just the first page of the menu is breakfast stuff.
And can we just talk about the fantastic cocktail selection that they have for brunch?
Oh yeah, they I mean in general all the time.
All the time, yeah. But brunch in particular.
They have several flavors of mimosa. They have several kind of coffee-based cocktails. They have just kind of more seasonal cocktails. But yeah, and then they do have a great lunch selection, tons of burgers, tons of sandwiches. The execution, also really good. They have this chorizo gravy, so delicious. And really good high-end ingredients. They have good meats. They have good, you know, just really kind of more high-end ingredients than what you would expect from maybe a bar slash typical American restaurant. It's a little on the higher end as far as ingredients go.
Yes. So, shall we get into what we chose to eat?
Yes.
because this also pairs with the service.
Mm-hmm. So both Christian and I got different types of eggs Benedict. I got the Big Country, which had the chorizo gravy over biscuits with the poached eggs, and yeah, really delicious.
Okay, tell them about the hash browns.
Okay, so when I think hash browns, I think shredded potatoes, right? These were basically, like how McDonald's does hash browns, where it's a tater tot.
It's like a potato cake. Is that what you called it?
Yeah,
it's a potato cake.
They're like potato cakes. They're not hash browns. I want if I'm having brunch, I want like a nice, good pile of shredded potatoes that have been fried on a nice, greasy skillet.
So, note to beggars, maybe
just call them potato cakes.
Well, no, but along with all the additional offerings that you give, like 4 things of mac and cheese, so many different ways of having eggs Benedict, maybe you can make that a secondary option of what kind of hash browns would you like.
Well, they do, like, did you want home fries or hash browns? So, like, they have other options, but I don't like home fries as well because they're thicker, and I feel like they don't get that nice crispiness.
So,
I will say the potato cakes, super crispy and very good, but not enough
so
potato.
add a third potato. Home fries, you got your chunky potatoes, you got your hash browns, which are your shredded potatoes, and then you got your tater tots / potato cakes.
There weren't enough of them. There weren't enough potatoes for my liking. Honestly, in general, I felt like and Christian and I, we just got different kinds of eggs Benedict, but our plate sizes were the same, and I didn't feel like it was enough food. If I'm going to pay $14, $15 for a plate, I want to be full at the end, which I think is fair. I was hungry, exceptionally so.
Were we hungover?
No, not really. Maybe. Oh yeah, maybe a little bit. Maybe a little bit.
Maybe a little bit. That's the point of why you go there for brunch.
That's fair. But yeah, I was disappointed that like I ate all of my food and I was still fairly hungry. I mean, it was basically one biscuit cut in half, topped with a poached egg on each biscuit half with gravy over it, and then like 5 little potato cakes.
So cost to portion size, the ratio, not so good.
For that. However,
for me, I got I think it was just the Beggar's Breakfast Bowl, which was so delicious, by the way. It again had...
I tried some, it was really delicious.
It had the chorizo gravy. It had scrambled eggs. It had home fries and sweet potato home fries, which were the flavor combination was off the hook.
Yes, you had a very delicious bowl.
Yes.
However,
her sister and I got the same dish. One of the caveats to the dish was that it had onions and peppers in it. Again, if you didn't watch the last episode, I don't appreciate onions. Actually, I think we cut that part out.
We did cut that part out.
So I don't appreciate onions.
At all.
Unless they're sauteed and very well done.
Not even sauteed. You want them caramelized.
Caramelized.
It's the only way you eat.
It's the only way I'll eat an onion is caramelized. So with that being said, I specifically requested my bowl to not have any onions with it. And so all the food comes out and they're setting these beautiful plates and dishes down. And he gives Kelsey her dish, and we're kitty corner from each other, and then he puts mine down, and I went, oh, this doesn't have onions in it, right? Because why? Most of the time, if you have a dish that has, if you're asking them to 86 something, there's an indicator. Maybe it's the little toothpick with the little plastic frilly things on the top. But there was nothing there, so that's why I double asked.
They
I
came
double
out
checked.
looking exactly the same.
Exactly the same. He's like, he's like, I don't know.
He just kind of stared at the dishes and then said, I'm pretty sure this one doesn't have onions. Or maybe it's that one. No, I think it's this one.
So
the one's still in his hand conveniently.
So in the meantime, Kelsey has already taken a bite of her dish, and he does not know whether or not my dish has or does not have onions. So I said, yeah, I'm gonna need something different. He's like, well,
actually, he was like, oh wait, no, it does look like this has onions in it, and then gave that plate to Kelsey and took the one he had previously set down for her,
which she had already mixed all the food together and took a bite of. And he's like, well,
a couple of bites.
Would you like this one? I was like, no.
Yeah, don't offer someone food that someone else has already been
I don't
eating.
care if we're in the same party with the same table.
Right.
Yeah. So
we're close. We're not that close.
So then I was like, yeah, you're going to have to go back and have them make a new one and make it really fast. Which he did.
They did. Yeah, they were super quick about it, which was annoying because we had to wait a while for the food, to be honest. And it felt like we shouldn't have had to wait that long for food.
That's also true. We waited for our food probably a good extra 30 minutes.
Well, because when I put our names in to be seated, it was not super, super busy. But as soon as I did put my name in, probably another 6 parties showed up and got on the list to be seated. Mm-hmm. A lot of those parties had their food before us.
Mm. Well, to be fair.
Well, we did have to wait quite a while for our entire party to arrive. So they didn't take our order as soon as everybody else. But even Kelsey and Christian said, wait, those people were seated after we showed up.
That's true.
And they have their food and are half done.
So
we had to wait a while for the food, which it's not like anybody got a steak or a burger or anything that would take a little longer.
Yeah.
So that was a little annoying.
Maybe they need to figure something out back
there. But when you said they need to remake this without onions very quickly, it was out very quickly, which made me extra suspect of why we had to wait so long for the food in the first freaking place.
Can we just talk about the little boy? So our server did not bring us our food. It was a whole different guy.
They have a lot of food runners.
And when I told him, I was like, well, you're going to have to ask them to make me a new one. I think he had to process what I had really requested.
Say, are you sure you don't want this one that has already been eaten from? I'm pretty sure it doesn't have onions. Well, pretty sure it's not sure.
Yeah.
First of all.
So
second of all, no, definitely not.
Yeah. But we didn't get double charged for it, thank God, because that would have been a whole nother problem.
Yeah.
So another thing about the service, and this is kind of why we're pairing the food and service together, I'll give them this. There will be moments in time where you would be done eating and you would be talking and looking and look back and your plate was gone. They were very good about getting...
The runners were on top of it.
Yeah, getting dirty plates removed. However, Christian...
A little too on top of it.
Was mid-bite for his last bite of food, and the guy comes by and says...
Can I take that?
Well, he, literally his fork is up like this.
Actually, I think his fork was still on his plate, but his hand was on his fork, on the food, on his plate, and he was talking, looking like he's about to take a bite, and they were like, can I get that for you? It's like, in 3.5 seconds, probably, but I still need that 3 seconds, which was hilarious, and we had a good little chuckle over that. Yeah, we did. And the next thing I knew, my plate had disappeared. And I was like, well, I'm pretty sure I ate all of the food that was on it, but still.
Yeah.
It was sneaky fast.
Yeah. It was good, though.
Can I say one thing about the service?
What's that?
So, one other thing that I found very interesting was 3 out of the 4 of us ordered cocktails. At one point, the waitress came over to just my sister and I's side of the table and asked us if we would like another drink. And we both declined. And then the waitress left, never offering Tonya or Christian a second drink order, which I found really not cool.
Okay,
actually.
Couple of things. 1, not cool. 2, talk about a loss of money. But 3, also at one point in time, she did go to that side, and actually I think she came back and refilled the water a couple of times and asked if we were doing okay, but never once came back to refill your coffee.
Yeah,
you actually had to ask
somebody down to come refill my coffee, and I love coffee, so I had to sit with an empty coffee cup for far too long. And
I'm also very curious, I didn't mention this while we were there, but the guy that did come and refill the coffee brought a coffee if you've ever worked in the restaurant industry,
I thought about that too.
There are 2 different types of what are they called?
Coffee carafes.
Yes, 2 different kinds of crafts. You have usually one with a black handle, which is regular, or one that is orange or another color to indicate decaf. This home skillet came through with a green coffee handle, and I was like,
didn't order decaf.
Didn't order decaf.
Would never.
Mm-mm.
Except for me.
I didn't say anything, but you didn't say anything.
Because honestly, at that point, I just wanted my coffee. I didn't even really care if it had caffeine in it or not.
Yeah.
I just wanted my warm cup of coffee while I was still waiting for my food.
Yeah. So there was that.
Yeah. So the entire time I was waiting for my food, I got 1 cup of coffee. Actually, while we were waiting for my sister and her boyfriend to arrive, I was served a cup of coffee. By the time they got there, I was done. And the entire time we waited for our food, the only other coffee that I got was when the runner asked if we all wanted waters. And I was like, I want another coffee.
Yeah.
So, really lame.
So,
honestly.
To sum it up on the service side, 1,
not great.
there's room for improvement.
Like a lot.
Room for improvement. 1, please don't ask people if they're ready to have their plates taken while they're mid bite, getting ready to have their last bite.
2, keep the coffee flowing. Rude,
keep the coffee
honestly,
flowing.
not
Double
to.
check.
This is hungover brunch spot. People need their coffee.
And 3, don't ask another person if they want somebody else's dish that they just took a bite of because you're not sure
whether there's onions in it
whether or not there's onions. So, lessons to be learned.
4, if you ask one person at a table if they would like another drink, ask the whole table.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. That'd be
with
great.
that being said, the Bellinis were fantastic.
Yep.
Also, when it comes to...
And Kelsey got that one coffee cocktail, but when they brought it to her, she was like, ooh, it's really good. But as soon as it hit her throat, she's like, oh. Definitely a good hair of the dog place, because that was hitting her hard.
Yeah,
it was. She only had the Bellini and that coffee cocktail. I think it was called the Sky High.
Mm-hmm. Something like that.
Yeah, Sky High something. And she was buzzing by the, end.
Totally.
So 2 drinks and,
Yeah.
She's not a lightweight necessarily. I wouldn't call Kelsey a lightweight, but yeah.
Yeah.
I think there was whiskey in it, and that'll do it.
Oh, dessert. I think they had dessert. I don't know.
They did.
We didn't order it.
But they did have
dessert. They did, because we considered ordering 2 separate desserts to share.
Something too.
I was gonna get like a cheesecake of some
creme brulee.
Oh yeah, the creme brulee.
The creme brulee we were talking about, and then we decided we didn't want to share because creme brulee is too delicious for that.
Yeah.
But so good dessert menu.
Top 3 shout out.
Yeah, top 3 shout out. Definitely cocktail menu and execution.
Mm-hmm.
Even as a person who didn't get a cocktail, I did taste, I think, all of the cocktails, and they were all super yummy. But honestly, the selection was pretty extensive.
It was really good.
I mean, it's a bar, so that makes sense. But yeah, definitely on point, and the execution of the cocktails.
One of the things that makes the cocktail execution pretty awesome is because if you've never been, they actually bring you your juice. So I got a Bellini. They brought the juice and the bubbly in 2 separate things, and they give you your champagne flute. So you can mix how you like. Some people might like it a little more sweet, so they add more juice. Some people might like it less sweet, and they will add more of the bubbly. So I think that's pretty awesome that they do that, quite frankly.
Well, and doesn't it you end up being able to get like 2.5 flutes worth of drink out of the one that you order?
Yeah,
so
pretty much.
Pretty legitimate.
Pretty legit. I like it. Our second top 3, one of our top 3 picks is going to be flavor execution.
Flavors are really awesome, honestly.
It was. I will say I was not expecting, first of all, in the bowl that I got, I did not expect the sweet potatoes. I guess I probably didn't read the description well enough, but that was actually a very good sweet with savory, as you know. Like a good sweet
all
and
about
savory.
it.
I do. And the chorizo gravy, so good.
Mm-hmm.
So good.
It really was delicious.
Yeah.
Honestly, the eggs Benny, the eggs were perfectly, and yeah, that gravy. as a replacement for hollandaise sauce. It's super delicious.
Yeah. And our last pick?
The last shout out is going to be for menu selection. Honestly,
Can't beat it.
Yeah, pretty extensive menu, a lot of good options.
All right.
Cost breakdown. So for 4 meals, 4 cocktails, and 1 coffee.
3 cocktails, 1 coffee.
Kelsey ordered 2 cocktails.
Oh yeah, she did, because of that coffee one. I totally forgot.
I can count. So, but thank you.
Anytime.
I guess I deserved that. Okay, so for 4 meals, 4 cocktails, 1 coffee, it was $111.30. We tipped $20, which is a little on the low end for how we tip, but deservedly, and not a bad. It wasn't a bad tip. We're not jerks. But yeah, so total for 4 people for a decent brunch, $131.30. I would call it super reasonable considering the menu selection and the higher end ingredients that they offer. Honestly.
So, question.
Yes.
Who got the check?
Who did get the check? You know who got the check? Party of 3 women, 1 guy.
Christian got the check?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If he hadn't been there, though, I almost guarantee I would have got it.
Probably.
Which would have made sense because I was paying, but...
yeah, that time. Yeah. So neither one of us got the check.
Yeah. The boy got the check.
The boy got the check.
Poor guy.
Poor guy. Yeah.
But also in our conversation about, telling my sister and Christian about, who gets the check game that we play, she did say that she usually is the one who pays when they go out to eat, because she's usually the one who wants to go out to eat. But she said it annoys her also that he oftentimes gets the check. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
So, when it comes to Beggar's Banquet and the review that they're going to get overall, I think we are both agreed 3.5 licks.
Yeah.
And honestly,
the food was delicious, but I was not full. And
the service was...
Yeah, the service was not great. And honestly, the food was really good. Give me enough food to enjoy it. Don't make me be angry about the food being delicious.
Yeah.
I almost wish it was bad so that I wouldn't have wanted more.
Yeah, but I think with that being said,
they did have a lot of pros to eating there. If you're really in the mood for brunch.
And if you put it into perspective, it is a bunch of hungover college kids as your service staff. So
yeah,
you kind of get what
it's what you should expect for that area. It's what you should
expect for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, on campus. Also, this was a week before finals week?
Week before finals and before graduation.
Yeah. So, all right.
Yeah.
I'll give y'all a break. That is a rough week to be at work, but also get it together.
Yeah. So, Beggar's Banquet, East Lansing, Michigan. Great, fantastic food. Service improvement could happen, but other than that, honestly, even with the service, I would still go back there to eat because the food was so good.
Yeah. I would try to get a larger meal, but definitely go back.
And honestly, I think I only ate once that day. That's how big that bowl was.
Yeah, it was a good size bowl.
It was a good size bowl. I only ate once that day.
Yeah, bowls, perfect portion. Eggs Benny, not enough.
Yeah. So, anyways,
this has been
Lesbians Eat Out.
Thanks for joining us.